Folks, I'm going to warn you now. This is going to be a rough one, but you need to stay tuned for this because the last thing Disney wanted 6 days before their first quarter financial report of 2021, due to go live on Thursday, May 13th, is this article coming out. And if what they purport to be is indeed the case, it is damning. Stay tuned. We're going to go through this. You don't want to miss it. Online. There is very little commentary that needs to be added to what is written in this article from the City Journal by Mr. Christopher Rufo. He is a senior contributor there at this publication, and their specialty is following, let's just say, social and cultural news around the country. And this is stunning. This is information that he is reporting has been sent to him by a Disney insider and employee who has personally witnessed this. And if you go to his own Twitter page, I'll leave a link in the description below. He actually has copies of the slides and presentations that all of this has been delivered to its employees upon. Go ahead and check it out. Let's start going through this right now because this is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. We're going to get right into this. Of course, I have to follow the YouTube guidelines. I've got to be a little cautious on how I pronounce some of these words. So if you hear me say some things a little funny or skip over words, you know why. I don't want to get this video flagged through the automated algorithms, and I want this to be able to get out there. This is very important information. This is very bad news for Disney if what is being alleged in this article is indeed accurate. Let's get right into it. We're going to read it. Doesn't require a lot of commentary, but stick with me, folks. Stick with me. This is going to be something. The Walt Disney Corporation famously bills its amusement parks as, quote, the happiest place on earth, but inside the company's headquarters in Burbank, California, a conflict is brewing. In the past year, Disney executives have elevated the ideology of critical race theory into a new corporate dogma, bombarded employees with trainings on systemic racism, white privilege, white fragility, and white saviors, and launched racially segregated affinity groups at the company's headquarters. Segregated affinity groups. Okay. I have obtained a trove of whistleblower documents related to Disney's diversity and inclusion program called, and remember this name, folks, Reimagine Tomorrow, which paints a disturbing picture of the company's embrace of racial politics. Multiple Disney employees who've requested anonymity out of fear of reprisals have told me that the Reimagine Tomorrow program, though perhaps noble in intent, isn't it always the road to hell that is indeed paved with good intentions? It has become deeply politicized and engulfed parts of the company in racial conflict. The core of Disney's racial program is a series of training modules on anti-racism, and in one called Allyship for Race Consciousness, the company tells employees that they must take ownership of educating themselves about structural anti-black racism, and that they should not rely on their black colleagues to educate them because it is, quote, emotionally taxing. The U.S., the document claims, has a, quote, long history of systemic racism and transphobia, and white employees in particular must work through their feelings of guilt, shame, and defensiveness to understand what is beneath them and what needs to be healed. Disney recommends that employees atone by challenging colorblind ideologies and rhetoric such as, quote, all lives matter and, quote, I don't see color. They must, quote, listen with empathy to black colleagues and must, quote, not question or debate black colleagues' lived experience. In another module called What Can I Do About Racism? Disney tells employees that they should reject, quote, equality with a focus on, quote, equal treatment and access to opportunities, and instead strive for, quote, equity. There's the magical word, racist equity, racial equity. This is a classical cultural Marxist term. which focuses on the equality of outcome. By the way, the equality of outcome is something that the United States and its Constitution has never guaranteed. That is why we have the equality of opportunity, not the equality of outcome. Notice how the goalposts have been moved with this entire argument. Okay, it's no longer about opportunity. Now it's about equality of outcome. This is full-blown Marxism. The training also includes a series of lessons on, quote, implicit biases, quote, microaggressions, quote, and becoming an anti-racist. The company tells employees that they must reflect on, quote, America's racist infrastructure and, quote, think carefully about whether or not your wealth, your income, treatment by the criminal justice system, employment, access to housing, healthcare, political power, and education might be different if you were of a different race. In order to put these ideas into action, Disney sponsored the creation of the 21-day racial equity and social justice challenge in partnership with the YWCA and included the program in its recommended resources for employees. They've been pushing this out. We don't know how far or how wide this has expanded across Disney, but obviously this is at the very least a pilot program that is being shoved out there now. I'm going to skip ahead a bit in the interest of time and get to a couple of key things in here. Next, participants learn about white fragility and are asked to complete an exercise called, quote, how to tell if you have white fragility. And if you go to the Twitter post from the author, he's actually got the slide of this in the checklist, and it includes such questions as, am I white? Do I have a college degree? Do I have a high school degree? Have I ever felt uncomfortable walking into a room with other people, if, being the race I am? One of the questions on this have I ever been raped? I'm not kidding. You can go look at the list yourself. This is straight from the material, the source material that this author is alleging he got from a Disney insider. And it's pretty comprehensive, folks. I mean, considering where we are in society these days, I can totally believe this. And to skip down again, in some of the collection of resources, Disney also recommends that employees read a series of how-to guidelines, including, quote, 75 things white people can do for racial justice. And your kids are not too young to talk about Rosh. The first article suggests that white employees should, quote, defund the police and participate in reparations. Decolonize your bookshelf. Don't gentrify neighborhoods. Find and join a local, quote, white space and donate to anti-white supremacy work, such as your local cultural Marxist Black Lives Matter chapter. And the second article encourages parents to commit to, quote, raising race consciousness in children. It's disgusting. You got to go read this article yourself. You will throw up, but you need to read it because you need to see what's going on right now. You need to see that this stuff is being infected into a lot of these big companies, and they're becoming diseases. These people are diseases. This mentality is a intellectual disease. And it has been, and it's been getting worse and worse for years. Now, I don't try to go into politics on this channel, and we all say this on YouTube about we don't want to do politics on our YouTube channel. The problem is that this sort of politics is like a damn cancer that is infecting every aspect of pop culture out there. And it's leaving folks like me that we can't even have fun talking about our entertainment anymore. When we get TV shows that are in movies that are just imbued with politics of one side that denigrates everybody else. And then they wonder why their grosses and their box office revenues and their viewership tanks. Well, it's out there, folks, and it's not going away anytime soon. But these companies are going to feel the burn if you shut your wallets to them. And if they don't have the money anymore to push this kind of crap. And it's great that, again, if this is true, if this is accurate, and again, this is a story alleging that this is coming from Disney, and we don't know this for a definitive fact. Although, given the nature of the article, given the amount of specificity and detail, and apparently this author is citing a number of sources from inside Disney that is confirming this, although I don't blame them for wanting to stay anonymous on this out of fear of their families' livelihoods. It's just incredible. Let's just skip to the end here. I don't want to get to the important parts. Multiple Disney employees have told me the political environment at the company has intensified in recent months. There are, quote, almost daily memos suggesting readings, panels, and seminars that are all centered around anti-racism. said one employee. The company is, quote, completely ideologically one-sided and actively discourages conservative and Christian employees from expressing their views. I attended several training sessions at the beginning just to see what the temperature of the discussion would be and to gauge if I would be able to bring up my own objections in a safe way, safe meaning for my career. And I've continually gotten the unspoken answer, no, said the employee. It's been very stifling to feel like everyone keeps talking about having an open dialogue and compassionate conversations. But when it comes down to it, I know that if I said one thing that was truthful, based on data, or even just based on my own personal experience, it would actually be rather unwelcomed. Despite the internal warnings, there is no sign that Disney is slowing down efforts to achieve ideological purity. The company recently fired actress Gina Carano for expressing a conservative viewpoint, and content managers have modified and added content advisories to films such as Dumbo, Aladdin, Fantasia, so on and so forth. It's a disease, folks. It is a disease. It is a cancer that has infected far more avenues of our cultural life than we would care to admit. And even though we've talked about this before, you know, there's plenty of YouTube content creators out there that have done absolutely amazing work on this, that have been banging this hammer, ringing this bell for quite some time. But I don't know if we've ever had anything, again, if what this article is alleging is indeed correct, I don't know if we've ever had anything so incredibly damning and just days before. Just like when Gina Carano was released from her service a couple of days before the last Disney Investor Quarterly Meeting and SEC report, this is now coming out 5 or 6 days before the next one on May 13th. Wow. Disney is going to have fun dealing with this one this week, for sure. And they're going to have to answer to this because at this point, it looks like the wallets to Disney need to be completely 100% shut off, and they can go drown in their own misery and bankruptcy for all I care. This is absolutely abysmal. This is sad. This is just sad. A once great company. And if Walt Disney were still alive today, Walt Disney would take a flamethrower to that office in Burbank and burn the damn thing to the ground. Take care.